The Crithian Empire had ruled the Andromeda sector for 3,000 cycles, their crystalline warships cutting through space like shards of divine wrath. Commander Vexler stood on the bridge of the Dominion's edge, his segmented exoskeleton gleaming under the violet illumination of holographic displays. Before him floated the tactical readout of a small human colony on the ice moon of Epsilon 7. Primitive mammals. Vexler clicked in amusement, his mandibles spreading wide. Their largest vessel barely reaches 2 kilometers. We shall consume their resources and add another. Trophy to the Empire? What the Crithians didn't know was that Epsilon 7 housed something far more valuable than deuterium mines. It was home to Dr. Jassy Chun, humanity's most brilliant quantum engineer, and her research partner, Daniel Kovacs, an astrophysicist who had cracked the mathematics of fold space compression. Jassy stood in the underground laboratory, her fingers dancing across the haptic interface as warning sirens wailed through the facility. Her dark eyes reflected cascading data streams, calculations that would have driven lesser minds to madness. Beside her, Daniel was already initiating the emergency protocols, his jaw set with determination. "They're coming in hot," Daniel said, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. 17 Crithian dreadnoughts? Ada, 42 minutes. Jassy's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Then we're right on schedule. She pulled up a communication channel, her words transmitted through quantum entanglement to a location 12 light-years away. "This is Chun to Terra Command. Project Leviathan is greenlit. Authorization code, Prometheus 997. The response came instantly, a deep voice that seemed to carry the weight of humanity's collective will. "Confirmed, Dr. Chun. Fold space anchors are locked on your coordinates. Exiting quantum foam in -30 minutes. Vexler watched his fleet arrange itself in the traditional Crithian attack formation, a crystalline net designed to ensnare and obliterate. Scouts had confirmed the human colony possessed only minimal defensive platforms and a handful of Corvette-class vessels. It would be a massacre, as it always was. "All ships charge primary weapons," he commanded. "We strike in," his words died as every sensor on the bridge screamed in unison. Space twisted. Not the gentle ripple of conventional FTL travel, but a violent convulsion in the fabric of reality itself. The void shuddered, and from that cosmic wound emerged something that defied the Crithians' understanding of engineering and physics. The first human megaship materialized like a god breaking through dimensional barriers. The UHNS Titan's fist stretched 47 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull composed of compressed neutronium alloy reinforced with exotic matter fields. It wasn't a ship, it was a mobile stellar fortress, bristling with weapons that drew power from captured micro-singularities embedded in its superstructure. But it wasn't alone. 7 more megaships tore through the quantum foam, each a monument to humanity's terrifying capacity for warfare. The Prometheus Dawn, the Europa's Wrath, the Void Breaker, each name a promise of annihilation. Together they formed a constellation of death that made Vexler's dreadnoughts look like insects before dragons. JASSIE and Daniel watched from the colony's observation deck as the impossible armada took position above them. Daniel let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. "They actually built them. All 8. "Humanity doesn't do anything halfway," Jassy replied, her voice filled with fierce pride. "They wanted to make us pray. Now they'll learn what an apex predator looks like." Aboard the Dominion's edge, Vexler's confidence shattered like his people's crystalline architecture. His sensors couldn't even properly measure the energy signatures emanating from the human vessels. Each megaship possessed firepower equivalent to his entire fleet combined. "Retreat?" he shrieked, his voice losing all aristocratic composure. "All ships, emergency fold." The voice that cut across every Crithian communication channel was calm, almost polite, but it carried an undercurrent of absolute authority. Captain Elizabeth Huang of the Titan's Fist spoke with the patience of someone explaining basic physics to a child. "Crithian vessels, you are ordered to power down weapons and submit to immediate boarding. Your empire has violated 17 articles of the Galactic Accord. You have 30 seconds to comply. Vexler made the fatal mistake of arrogance. He fired. The crystalline dreadnoughts unleashed their plasma lances, weapons that had carved apart worlds. The streams of superheated matter struck the Titan's fist's shields and simply dispersed. The exotic matter fields didn't just absorb the energy, they redistributed across 11 dimensions, rendering the attack meaningless. Captain Huang's response was surgical. Target their propulsion systems only. Disable, don't destroy. What happened next would be etched into galactic history. The megaship's weapons mass accelerators that fired projectiles at 0.9 C, directed energy weapons powered by antimatter annihilation, and gravitational lensing arrays that could tear apart molecular bonds engaged with terrifying precision. In 17 seconds, every Crithian vessel was crippled. Their drives shredded, weapons offline, but crews intact. Jassy placed her hand on Daniel's shoulder as they watched the brief, one-sided engagement. "This is what we worked for," she said softly. "Not just weapons, but the capacity to choose mercy from a position of absolute strength." Daniel nodded, understanding the deeper implication. The megaships weren't just instruments of war, they were humanity's declaration that it would no longer be the galaxy's victim, but neither would it become its tyrant. Vexler sat in his command throne, his exoskeleton suddenly feeling like a prison. On his view screen, Captain Huang's face appeared human, unremarkable by Crithian standards. Yet her eyes held the weight of a species that had clawed its way up from extinction events, ice ages, and countless wars to master the fundamental forces of the universe. "Your empire's days of conquest are over," Huang said simply. "Humanity offers you a choice. Join the Accord as equals, or face sanctions that will make your crystalline worlds as cold and dark as the void you tried to weaponize." As Crithian boarding pods attached to his hull and human marines augmented, armed with weapons that bent physics, began their methodical sweep, Vexler finally understood the lesson. Humanity hadn't just built bigger ships. They had mastered the one thing the Crithians never could: the balance between overwhelming force and measured restraint. In the colony below, Jassy and Daniel began their post-operation report, their words technical and precise. But in their hearts, they knew they had witnessed something profound. The moment humanity stepped from the shadows and made the galaxy shudder, not with cruelty, but with capability. Not with rage, but with resolve. The void itself had trembled, and the age of human vulnerability was over.